Hey guys, welcome back for another video. We're going to be doing our Week 18 NFL predictions, completely looking at every single matchup, trying to predict the outcome for every single game. Who's going to win, who's going to lose, what the final score will be. We'll also touch on the best bets, the money lines, the spreads, the over-unders. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments on these games or anything else, please drop them below, and I will respond. We're going over all these matchups. This is the last week of the NFL regular season. There's a lot of massive games coming up. There's a lot of unknowns this weekend. Why do I say unknowns? Because a lot of these teams haven't even told us who's going to play. Some teams will be resting starters. Some teams won't be resting starters. Some teams are fighting to make the playoffs. Some teams are fighting for seeding. Some teams aren't fighting for anything at all. They're just fighting for their pride. Some teams have no pride. They're so bad they are trying to lose to get a draft pick. There's a lot going on, but we're going to look at every single matchup, guys. Every week we're going over every NFL game. We also do the same thing for every college football game as well. Going over every bowl, going over every single playoff game, every round of the college football playoffs. If you're a football fan, if you're a sports fan, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We don't have any Thursday night games. What we have is we actually have 2 Saturday games, and then the rest of our games will be on Sunday as the NFL is preparing for the playoffs. Let's go ahead and get things started. The first matchup Saturday, January 4th, 4:30 p.m. ABC, the 3-13 Cleveland Browns. What an awful season they've had so far. Struggling to consistently move the ball, struggling to get first downs. Not a bad roster, but overall as a team, a lot of question marks, especially at the quarterback position this year. They'll be playing the 11-5 Baltimore Ravens. Right now, the Ravens, they're locked into the playoffs. They're only looking at seeding here, but no matter what, I don't see the starters playing the whole game. They probably want to pull them out second half, third quarter, fourth quarter, get the backups in there. They don't want to take a chance of anyone getting hurt, but Baltimore's going to be the favorite. 89.8% chance to win this game. The largest spread of the year that I've seen, 17.5 point favorites. Over here is 42 points. Cleveland, right now, they got Dorian Thompson-Robinson, 0 touchdowns, 6 picks. That just lets you know what's going to be happening at the quarterback position for the Browns. A really bad play. They're only averaging 15.5, throwing for 208, running for 97, giving up 25 points a game. Like I mentioned, they don't have a bad team. It's just overall, when the offense can't move the ball, the defense on the field way too long. For Baltimore, third highest scoring team in the NFL. Lamar Jackson again putting up video game numbers. 4,000 passing yards, 39 passing touchdowns, only 4 picks. He also has 4 rushing touchdowns to add to that. 43 overall touchdowns. They average 30.2. Throw for 238.6, run for 185.6, just slightly the number 2 rushing team in the NFL. Very balanced offense, giving up 21.9 points per game. A top 2 rushing defense, only giving up 81.6 on the ground. Looking at the Browns, they have Ford, they have Judy, and for Baltimore, Henry's just shy of 1,800 yards, Flowers, Andrews, likely, but they shouldn't have the starters in the whole game. That should not be necessary. Baltimore pulls them once the game's in hand. They win this one 27-13. And our second Saturday matchup's going to be on ESPN at 8 p.m. on Saturday. The 8-8 Cincinnati Bengals, they need a win here to have a shot to make the playoffs. They need the Broncos to lose. They need a couple things to go their way. But 8-8, they have a chance here, and their offense is cruising right now. They'll be playing the 10-6 Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, Pittsburgh, 53.2% chance to win this game, but it's Cincinnati who's the favorite. A 1.5 point favorite. The over here is going to be 48.5. Cincinnati, their defense will give up points to anyone, but their offense will score on anyone they're playing. Right now, Joe Burrow putting up video game numbers the whole season. If they had a better record, he'd probably be the front runner for the MVP, but he's closing in on 4,700 yards, 42 passing touchdowns, 8 picks, and that's with all the pressure of having to score every single possession because your defense is basically Swiss cheese. Right now, they're averaging 28.3, throwing for 274.6, the number 1 passing team, running for 94.1, giving up 26.1. They give up a lot of points. Thankfully for them, the Steelers don't have some high-octane offense, so this game probably won't be a shootout, but there will be opportunities for the Steelers to move the ball. Looking at Pittsburgh, they are struggling to consistently run the ball. They are struggling to get a pretty good pass offense going. Russell Wilson, he's taking care of the ball this season, but he's not doing enough vertically to win them enough games. But still, this is a Tomlin team. They usually run the ball, and they play elite defense. Right now, Russell Wilson, 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 picks, averaging 22.7, throwing for 196.6, running for 130.8, giving up 20.5 points a game. Very good defense, but they are banged up. Looking at Cincinnati, they have Brown, Chase closing in on 1,700 yards. They have Higgins. Might be the best wide receiver core in the NFL. It's at least top 2. And for the Steelers, expect a steady dose of Harris. They have Pickens. Pickens has been banged up, but they're going to need their entire team to play here. They're going to need to get first downs. They're going to need to score versus Cincinnati. Cincinnati scores no matter who they play. We have Cincinnati winning this one. Getting to 9-8, they win this one 28-24. And now we're moving on to our Sunday matchups. The very first one, January 5th, 1 p.m. on Fox, the 11-5 Washington Commanders. They have clinched a playoff spot. They're in there. They have a lot to play for here, though. They want to get that offensive momentum continuing. They have a top 5 overall offense. They'll be playing the 7-9 Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, they looked awful this past weekend, but since they lost Dak, they've actually been playing a lot better football, especially running the ball. Cooper Rush being very conservative with his passes. They're doing enough on the ground to win some games. Their defense is still a major issue, but at least their offense is playing a little more efficiently. Looking at Washington, they will be 4.5-point favorites. They have a 65.3% chance to win this game. The over-under here is 44. They have Jaden Daniels. This guy throwing it, running it, rookie of the year so far, putting up great numbers, closing in on 3,600 yards, 25 passing touchdowns, 9 picks. He has 6 rushing touchdowns. The guy's a rookie. He does a lot. They need the running game to step up more. He is the leading rusher. They will get there, but as of right now, because they're an offensively focused team, they want to keep that offense clicking going into the playoffs. So look for their starters to at least probably play 3 quarters here. They want to keep them hot. They're averaging 28.9, throwing for 219.3, running for 156.6, giving up 23.3 points a game. And for the Cowboys, they don't have Dak, but they have Cooper Rush, 12 touchdowns, 5 picks filling in. They're averaging 20.7 points a game, throwing for 227.1. Running for 97.2. That used to be 75. So since Dak gone out, they're averaging 22 more yards on the ground. That's a major thing because that's helping open up that play action. But they do give up 27.8 points a game. That is a bottom 3 defense in the NFL. They had a top 3 defense last season. This year they have a bottom 3. A lot of pieces they need to fix in the offseason. Looking at the playmakers for Washington, Jaden Daniels closing in on 900 on the ground. They also have Scary Terry closing in on 1,100. And Dallas, Dowdle's had a really good last 5 to 6 games. He's over 1,000 yards. CeeDee Lamb, he's out. He's not going to play this game. He's a legit wide receiver number 1. They're not going to have their primary weapon. Washington wins this one, 28-20. What a turnaround for them. Jaden Daniels, year 1. This next game is 2 teams who are just basically fighting for their pride. On Fox at 1 p.m., the 4-12 Jacksonville Jaguars. Can they somehow get a win here? Potentially try to save Doug Peterson's job. It's a long shot here, but they want to win. They want some pride here. They'll be playing the 7-9 Colts. The Colts have missed their shot at the playoffs, but they will be the favorites here to end the season. 58.5% chance to win this game. They are 5-point favorites. The over here is 45.5. Obviously, for the Colts, they went away from Richardson, went back to Flacco this past game. Richardson should be back to start this game. Really doesn't matter who you put at the quarterback position. They got to keep the turnovers down. They have to move the ball. They are coming in. They're averaging 21.9 points a game, throwing for 194.3, running for 134.6, giving up 25.3 points a game. At least they have Jonathan Taylor. He could be the X factor here. He can control the pace of this game. Jacksonville, there's no Trevor Lawrence. They're going to be going with Mac Jones. They're coming off of a decent game. Mac Jones not having a good season filling in for Trevor Lawrence, but at least he's an experienced backup. 1,500 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 picks. They're averaging 18.6. Throwing for 204, running for 101, giving up 25.6 points a game. Both teams, very questionable defenses. Jacksonville's major weakness is their secondary, giving up just shy of 260 passing yards per game. They have to work on that secondary during the offseason. They have Bigsby, Etienne, Brian Thomas Jr. closing in on 1,200 yards. Very strong season from him. And for the Colts, like I said, Jonathan Taylor, just shy of 1,300 yards. He can catch it. He can run it. They have Pierce. We have the Colts winning this one, 24-21, but we think this is going to be a very close game. Both of these teams want this game, and who's going to get fired in the offseason? That's the major question here. And then at 1 p.m. on Fox, the 5-11 New Orleans Saints. This is not a bad roster, but this is a very bad team. They've been up and down the whole season. Obviously, Carr banged up, Kamara banged up. They're 2 primary playmakers. They're not going to be playing this game. They'll be playing the 9-7 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay has a questionable defense, but boy, can they score on anyone. Baker Mayfield having a great season. Right now, the Bucs 79.7% chance to win this game. They've already clinched a playoff spot, but they want 10 wins. They want to keep that momentum, keep that offense clicking going into the playoffs. Right now, they're 13.5-point favorites. The over here is 43.5. The Colts, they're probably going to have Spencer Rattler out there. They're averaging 19.9, throwing for 203.8, running for 118.1, giving up 23.2 points a game. Not a bad roster by any means. It's just getting everyone to play well at the same time on the same day. It's been a major issue for them. And for Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield, the number 2 passing team in the NFL. He's closing in on 4,300 yards, 39 passing touchdowns, 15 picks, plus the guy can scramble. They're averaging 29.7. That's a top 5 offense, throwing for 252.6, running for 147.3, giving up 22.8 points a game. Very balanced attack on offense. Looking at the Saints, they're very Kamara-centric, receiving the ball, rushing the ball. When that guy's not playing, it creates a major void for this team. Their offense basically sputters out. Someone else needs to step up on this team as the number 2 playmaker. For the Bucs, they have Irving, they have Mike Evans. They don't have Chris Godwin. Obviously, he's been out for probably, the last 9 games. But Mike Evans has massively stepped up. He's just shy, 85 yards shy of his 11th straight 1,000-yard season. That's what Tampa Bay has to play for. They want to get that guy his 11th straight 1,000-yard season. He's a consistent guy. Death, taxes, Mike Evans getting 1,000 yards. We have the Tampa Bay offense cruising. They win this one 34-17. And then on Fox at 1 p.m., the 4-12 Chicago Bears. Since that Hail Mary loss, they've lost 10 straight games, completely fallen off the rails. Bad offense, bad play, bad coaching. They'll be playing the 11-5 Green Bay Packers, who are cruising right now. The Packers have clinched a playoff spot, but they're coming off of a loss to the Vikings. They want momentum going into the playoffs. They want to win this game. They want to win this game handedly. Right now, Green Bay, 74.7% chance to win this game. 9.5-point favorites. The over here is 40.5. Chicago, they're getting better play from their offensive line. They're buying Caleb Williams some time. Caleb, just don't hold the ball too long. When you have time, find those targets. You don't have a bad wide receiver core by any means. They're averaging 17.9. He's closing in on 3,400 yards, 19 touchdowns, 6 picks. Actually not having a bad rookie season by any means, especially considering the fact that his coach has been fired and still putting up pretty decent numbers. They're throwing for 184.1, running for 103.2, giving up 21.8 points a game. They have a pretty solid defense. And for the Packers, one of the best offensive teams in the NFL, but they don't want the regular season to end with that Vikings loss. They want to go into the playoffs with a win. They're averaging 27.4. Jordan Love, he missed 2 to 3 games, and still he's closing in on 3,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 picks. They're throwing for 226.4. Running for 144.6, but it's that defense, only giving up 19.6 points a game. This team plays defense. They can run the ball. That's going to get you potentially pretty far in the playoffs. Looking at Chicago, they have Swift, Moore, Odunze, Allen, and for Green Bay, Josh Jacobs is 15 yards shy of 1,300. He is dominating this season. No one's really talking about him, but he's having a great season on the ground. And they have Reed. We have Green Bay dominating this game in both facets of it. They win it 28-17. And then at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 4-12 Carolina Panthers. Since Bryce Young's come back as the starter, they're actually moving the ball a lot better, being able to vertically push the ball down the field. They still have the worst defense by far, but at least they have a quarterback who's setting up to still be the starter next season. They'll be playing the 8-8 Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, the big news for the Falcons, they put Cousins to the sideline. They're rolling with Penix. He's actually been playing really solid so far. Just don't turn the ball over. You have so many offensive weapons. Just give the ball to the playmakers. Let them do what they do. The Falcons right now, 73.4% chance to win this game. They are 8.5-point favorites. The over here is 48 points. For the Panthers, Bryce Young, like I mentioned, playing a lot better since he's back as the starter. They're averaging 18.6 points a game. He has 12 touchdowns, 9 picks. They're throwing for 182.4, running for 107.7, but they're giving up 31 points a game. That is the worst by far. A lot of things to work on, but hey, at least they're no longer the worst team in the NFL. And for the Falcons, Penix, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, but this is only his second or third game starting as a rookie. They're averaging 21.9, throwing for 234.9, running for 124.5, giving up 23.7 points a game. The big thing for the Panthers, Chuba Hubbard's going to miss his second straight game. He's been dominating on the ground, 1,200 yards in only 15 games. When you know he's going to run, he was still able to pick up yardage. He's not going to play this game. Everyone else, Thielen, you're all going to have to step up to carry this offense. And for the Falcons, they're loaded. Robinson, Algiers, Mooney, London, Pitts, there's weapons at running back, wide receiver, tight end. They are loaded. They have something to play for here. Panthers, they have their pride. We had the Falcons winning this one 31-21. Penix has a great game. And then our next matchup we're going to look at on CBS at 1 p.m. The 13-3 Buffalo Bills. They've already clinched the playoffs. They have their seeding, but one thing they have to play for is potentially getting Josh Allen that MVP. They want to put up some stats, but no reason to leave them in here the whole game. Just have a flashy first half, and that's it. Get them out. They'll be playing the 3-13 New England Patriots. As of right now, they have the number 1 pick. Just make sure you don't win this game, lose this game, and there's a lot of pieces that you could potentially fix by getting that number 1 draft pick. Right now, Buffalo, 78% chance to win this game. They are 3-point favorites. The over in here is 38 points. Vegas has it being a low-scoring game because they don't see the Buffalo Bills playing their starters for very long. Josh Allen having his most efficient season ever, closing in on 3,800 yards, 28 passing touchdowns, only 6 picks. He also has 13 rushing touchdowns. He's doing things through the air. He's doing things on the ground. The number 2 offense just behind the Lions are averaging 31.8, throwing for 234.1, running for 131.3. Very balanced. They also have the defense to back it up. They're giving up 21.6 points a game. Defense travels with you on the road. For the Patriots, Drake May, solid rookie season so far. Not great, not bad. They just need to get this guy some weapons in the draft. They're averaging 16.6 points a game. They need a better offense to buy their defense some time. They're throwing for 172.7, running for 118.3, giving up 25.1 points a game. They have Stevenson, they have Henry, and on the other side, they're loaded. Cook, Shakir, Coleman, Cooper, but those guys will only be in probably the first half. Buffalo plays just long enough to get the lead, get the win. They win this one 24-17. Patriots have to make sure they lose this game. The next one we're looking at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 3-13 New York Giants. Bottom 2 team in the NFL, playing the 13-3 Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles have clinched their playoff spot. The only thing they had to play for really here was getting Saquon Barkley that rushing record. As of right now, though, he's not going to be playing. That's what they're saying. We don't know. He might get a couple snaps, but will he play long enough to get that extra 101 yards to get the record? Probably not. Probably not going to play at all. They want to rest him. They want to make a deep playoff run, and this team is definitely built to potentially win a Super Bowl. Right now, the Eagles, 82.9% chance to win this game, even with their backups. They are 3-point favorites. Over in here is 38.5. Hurts has been at practice, but he's been limited. They might have Kenny Pickett out there. Right now, they are 3-point favorites. The Giants, they're averaging 16.3, one of the worst offenses in the NFL. They've been shuffling between 3 quarterbacks. No matter who's playing quarterback, they're not consistently moving the ball and getting first downs. They are throwing for 193.1, running for 105.2, giving up 24.7 points a game. They don't have a bad defense, but they are on the field the entire game. They get wore out. They give a lot of second half points. And for the Eagles, Hurts, Pickett, probably not going to be Hurts. You're probably going to see a steady dose of Pickett throughout this game. Probably starting the game. There's no reason to play Hurts unless you're just wanting him to be a little warmed up for the playoffs, but that's probably not going to happen. They're averaging 27.7 points a game, throwing for 183.9. The number 1 rushing team in the NFL, running for 187.3, giving up 18.1 points a game. They have a top 2 defense. They play offense. They play defense. And this season, they are keeping their turnovers down. Looking at the playmakers for the Giants, Tracy Jr., Malik Nabers is a number 1 wide receiver. He just needs someone who's going to consistently feed him the ball throughout 4 quarters. And for the Eagles, Barkley, Brown, Smith. Probably not going to see a lot of these guys on Sunday, but still we have the Eagles winning a lower scoring game, 23-15. And at 1 p.m. on CBS, the 9-7 Houston Texans, they've locked themselves in as that number 4 seed, but they have not been playing well on the offensive side. They want to get that offense clicking. They have that to play for. They need to get the offense back on track leading into the playoffs. You got to start before you even get to the playoffs. They want to beat down the Tennessee Titans, who come into this game 3-13. Tennessee Titans, a lot of very close one-possession losses here. They're not having a bad season, just too many turnovers on their own side of the field. Right now, Houston, 51.9% chance to win this game, but it's actually Tennessee, the 1-point favorite, and the over here is 38.5. Houston, Stroud, not having the season he had last season, but he's down Dell, he's down Diggs, had to play a lot of the season without Nico Collins. A lot of holes there. Not a bad team, just not playing consistently. They're averaging 21.8, throwing for 209.9, running for 106.4, giving up 22.4 points a game. And for the Titans, they've had Rudolph, they've had Levis. Neither of them necessarily playing really bad, just not playing consistently, not moving the ball enough, and way too many turnovers, averaging 18.6, throwing for 193, running for 110.6, giving up 27.3 points a game. They give up a lot of points on defense, but they don't give up very many yards. It's the turnovers on their own side of the field, putting their defense in really bad positions. Right now, looking at the playmakers for Houston, they have Mixon, they have Collins. When Collins plays, he's a top 3, top 5 wide receiver. And for Tennessee, Pollard closing in on 1,100 yards, Ridley closing in on 1,000 yards. They don't have bad playmakers. That's why they have a shot to win this game close, one-possession type game. But we have the Texans squeaking this one out, winning this one 23-20. The next matchup is one of those matchups where neither team is playing for a playoff spot, but they just want to finish the season hotter than where they are right now. At 4:25 p.m. on Fox, we're going to have the 6-10 San Francisco 49ers. This team almost won the Super Bowl last season. And now they are 6-10 at Week 18, fighting to get their 7th win. They'll be playing the 7-9 Arizona Cardinals. They had their shot to make the playoffs, fell off the rails the last month. They just want to finish this season on a higher note than where they've been, get to 8 wins. Right now, the 49ers, they have a 55.5% chance to win this game. They come into this game 4-point favorites. The over here is 42.5. San Francisco, not a bad offense, but they are missing a lot of pieces. When they have a fully healthy roster, they might be the best top-to-bottom roster in the NFL, but that's when they are fully healthy. They haven't been fully healthy the entire season. Purdy, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks. He was banged up this past game. They are moving the ball through the air. Bad, untimely turnovers, and not being able to get your entire roster on the field. Right now, they're averaging 22.8 points a game, throwing for 246, running for 126.4. They don't have problems moving the ball, but they also don't have the defense they had last season. They're giving up 24.3 points a game. Bosa continues to do what he does every single game, but they need the rest of that defense to step up, but it's obviously something that they're going to have to work on in the offseason. And on the other side, you have Kyler Murray, slinging the ball, running the ball, not kind of picking up where he left off last season, but still had a hot start to the season. Cold second half. Right now he's closing in on 3,700 yards, 17 touchdowns, 11 picks. He also has 5 rushing touchdowns on the ground. They're averaging 22.1, throwing for 212.3, running for 143.8. And actually a pretty balanced offense. They're giving a 22.2. Their pass rush is much better than it was last season, but there's still a couple things that they need to work on. Right now, for the 49ers, just think if they had a fully healthy roster. McCaffrey, Mason, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, Jennings, so many weapons, but you're only going to see about 65% of those guys on the field this Sunday. And on the other side, Connor, McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. This game could be really close. I could see either one of these teams winning this one. It's a 50-50 pick'em, but I have San Francisco pulling it out, getting to 7 wins. They win this one 28-23 and get started working on what you need to fix for next season. And then on Fox at 4:25 p.m., the 9-7 Seattle Seahawks, they have their chance to get to 10 wins here. A really strong season. And then they'll be playing the 10-6 LA Rams. I said when the Rams were under 500, do not underestimate this team. They did not have their full offensive roster. Once they got their playmakers back, Nakua, Cooper Kupp, this offense took a lot of pressure off of their defense because they were consistently moving the ball. Right now they have a 56.4% chance to win this game, but it's actually Seattle who comes in 5.5-point favorites. The over here is 39. They see the Rams resting a lot of their starters, but that's an offensive team. You want to keep the offense well-oiled. They will play this game. Just how long will they play this game? That's the question. Right now, Seattle, Geno Smith, a lot of pressure on him to win this game. He's been up and down the whole season, 17 touchdowns, 15 picks. He's going to have to play a clean game here. If he turns the ball over, the Rams are going to turn those turnovers into points. Right now, they're averaging 21.6, throwing for 238.1, running for 93.8, giving up 21.4 points a game. And for the Rams, they have the veteran Stafford, closing in on 3,800 yards, 20 touchdowns, 8 picks. They're averaging 21.4, throwing for 221.8, running for 105.1, giving up 22.3 points a game. But the big thing is they've had a lot of injuries. How long do you want to leave those starters in there? You don't want to take the chance of them getting injured because you could potentially make a deep playoff run. Looking at Seattle, they have Kenneth Walker. He's been banged up pretty much the whole season. They have Smith. They have DK Metcalf. They don't have a bad team. We're just going to have to see Geno Smith play one of his better games right now. And on the other side, the Rams are loaded. Williams, Nakua, Cooper, Atwell, those weapons up and down the field, but they're probably only playing the first half, so they're going to have enough of a lead first half to win this game. We have the Seahawks pulling off the win here, winning this one 24-20 because the Rams rest their starters second half. This next game is a complete shot in the dark because we don't know who's going to be playing. On Fox at 4:25 p.m., the 8-8 Miami Dolphins versus the 4-12 New York Jets. The Dolphins still have a shot to make the playoffs here, but obviously they have to win this game. They need a couple things to go their way. They have a 53.1% chance to win this game. They are 1-point favorites. Obviously, the big question here, is it going to be Huntley? Is it going to be Tua? Tua is listed as doubtful right now. There's still a chance that he makes this game, plays this game. I don't think he's going to play. I don't really know yet, but as of right now, they haven't said that he's playing, so I'm going to bank on him not playing here. They're averaging 20.3 points a game, throwing for 221, running for 103.8, giving up 20.8 points a game, a top 5 rush defense. They're going to try to shut down the Jets' run game, but the Jets don't really have a strong run game anyways. Right now, Rodgers not having a bad season so far, but they are struggling in the red zone to turn those visits into points. He's closing out on 3,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 picks. They're averaging 19.1. Throwing for 216.1, running for 90.2, giving up 24 points a game. This game could go either way. Dolphins have something to play for. They still have a shot. But how does Huntley play here? Played a solid game this past weekend, but there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to get the win. Right now, Miami, when they're healthy, one of the best offensive rosters in the NFL. Achin, Mostert, Hill, Waddle. Lots of weapons there. Waddle's been banged up. Tua probably not playing here. And on the other side for the Jets, they have Hall, Wilson, Lazard, Adams. They don't have a bad wide receiver core. They just need to maximize their usage, turn those touches into points. This game could go either way. 50-50 pick 'em here. As of right now, with the news of Tua still not being cleared, if he plays, they win this game. I don't think he's going to play here. We don't know yet, but I'm going to say he doesn't play, and I have the Jets pulling off the win here 23-20. But it's one of those games we're just going to have to wait till later this week to find out. And then on CBS at 4:25 p.m., the 15-1 Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champs, versus the 9-7 Denver Broncos. Andy Reid has already said most of their starters are not going to be playing this game. Denver has to win this game to maintain playoff hopes. Them winning this game pretty much ends the season for a lot of potential playoff teams. They want to win this game. Kansas City really doesn't care. They're already in. They have the number 1 seed. Rest the starters. Make sure you're healthy leading into the playoffs. That's why Denver is a 9.5-point favorite here versus the 15-1 Kansas City Chiefs, because no one expects the Chiefs to play any of their starters. The over here is 38.5. They have a 52.7% chance to win this game. It really doesn't matter who you see on this roster. The starters won't be playing. Kansas City, they're averaging 24.1, throwing for 231.8, running for 110.2, giving up 18 points a game. They have a top 3 overall defense. They get after it. They generate havoc. They generate turnovers. But a lot of those guys aren't going to be playing here. For Denver, you're going to get their best starters. They're going to play everyone. They need to win this game to clinch. Bo Nix, 3,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 12 picks. Playing within Sean Payton's scheme. Dink and dunk, accurate passes, roll the pocket. Always give him the option to use his mobility. They're averaging 24.2, throwing for 205.6, running for 109.4. They're giving up 19.4 points a game. They also have a top 5 defense. They can get after it. They can generate turnovers. They're going to be able to dominate this game with the Kansas City backups in. We have Denver pulling off the win here. A close one still, but they win it 21-17. And our second to last game on Sunday, don't forget there's no Monday night games here. On CBS at 4:25 p.m., the 10-6 LA Chargers versus the 4-12 Las Vegas Raiders. The Raiders probably aren't very good at anything. They don't have a good offense. They don't have a good defense. They don't have a solidified quarterback at the starting position. Chargers, what a first season for Harbaugh. They've already clinched the playoffs, but with the win, they get the number 5 seed. That would be massive. You want the 5 seed because you want to potentially play the Texans. You don't want to have to play the Ravens, so there is something to play for here. This is a Harbaugh team. They play defense. They run the ball. Herbert's really come on strong the second half. I've loved Justin Herbert since he came out of Oregon. The guy can sling it, and the weapons are starting to step up as they get more comfortable in this scheme. Raiders, you just got to score, man. You have to outscore the Chargers, but that's a really good defense. The number 1 NFL defense that you're playing against here. You're just playing for pride. You're definitely not playing for the playoffs. Right now, Herbert, 3,600 yards, 21 touchdowns, only 3 picks. They're averaging 23 points a game, throwing for 205.8, running for 109.1. The number one defense scoring-wise, giving up 17.6 points a game. They want to win this game. They want that 5th seed. And for the Raiders, they've been shuffling between O'Connell, Minshew. It really doesn't matter. They're only averaging 18.1, throwing for 223.3. Running for 82.4, the worst rushing team in the NFL. They got to get the run game going so they can open up some play action, help the passing game, keep the turnovers down, and they're giving up 25 points a game. Looking at the playmakers for the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins has been banged up, but Ladd McClunkey's really stepped up big the last 2 months. And for the Raiders, Madison, Bowers closing in on 1,200 yards. That's without a good quarterback. Just think of what this guy can do. They got to draft a quarterback this offseason. We have the Chargers winning this one, even though they might pull their starters out once they take control, but they should control the game the entire 4 quarters. They win it 28-17. The final game might be the best game of the entire 2024 season at 8:20 p.m. NBC, the final Sunday night game, the battle for the number 1 seed. There's a lot lying on this game. This is going to be a really fun one. The 14-2 Vikings versus the 14-2 Detroit Lions. Who's going to get to 15 wins? This game is a pick'em. This game is a 50-50. Could go either way. Right now, the Lions, 3-point favorites. The over here is 56.5. They have a 64.1% chance to win this game. The biggest question for the Lions is that defense. Since week 13, they've been giving up a lot of points. It's not their fault. They are extremely banged up. They might get some starters back for the playoffs. But they got to play on fire on the defense to slow down the Vikings. But we know the Lions, number 1 offense in the NFL. They can score with anyone. But as of right now, Minnesota's probably the more balanced team. They have less injuries. They can score, and they're still playing solid defense. Sam Darnold having a great season so far, lighting things on fire, throwing the ball 4,200 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, only 12 picks. They're averaging 26.4. That's a top 10 offense. Throwing for 243.8, running for 108.4, only giving up 18.8 points a game. That is a top 5 defense in the NFL. They can score. They can slow you down. They're only giving up 88.1 on the grounds. We know the Lions can run the ball. This is strength on strength. Minnesota, one of the best rush defenses in the NFL versus one of the better rushing teams. For Detroit, they have the number 1 offense. It's going to be led by Goff, who's having a great season so far, closing in on 4,400 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 10 picks. Number 1 offense, averaging 33.3 points a game, throwing for 266.1, running for 144.4, giving up 20.8 points a game. That's not bad, but it's a far cry from where they were first half. So many injuries have hurt the defense, but thankfully the offense keeps making up for it. They keep scoring more and more, whatever they need to score to get the win. Looking at the playmakers, both of these teams are loaded. Sam Darnold, Jones, Justin Jefferson, the number 1 wide receiver in the NFL, just shy of 1,500 yards. And for the Lions, Goff, Gibbs, Montgomery's banged up, but they still have St. Brown. So many weapons up and down the field. They can beat you throwing. They can beat you running. That's why the Lions are the favorite here. They got a lot of sacks, a lot of turnovers here this past weekend. That's what got them the game here versus the 49ers. But can they generate consistent pass rush versus the Vikings in their injured state right now? And can they do it consistently over 4 quarters? Not just for spurts, but consistent pressure on Sam Darnold the whole game. I have that being the deciding factor. I have the Vikings winning a shootout game. They win it 34-30. They get the upset. They get the number 1 seed. But I want to see these teams rematch in the playoffs. So that's our breakdown. That's our early picks for all of our Week 18 games. We will revisit these later this week once we have more news on the injuries and who's going to be sitting. But make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. If you have any comments, please drop them below, and I will respond. Thank you.